Hello, my name's Andrea. I have in my hand a blade of grass that I'm offering to you. I have this blade of grass because I think it's often the small things that captivate and connect people with each other and with projects. So something seemingly insignificant like a blade of grass can have an extraordinary impact on someone. An ordinary leaf like this was the starting point for the Notice Nature Field Joy Gallery at Derby Museums, connecting people outside the museum with an emerging project. So I hope when I speak now there'll be a sequence of photographs passing over the screen, and I'll give you a few examples of how I might connect with people outside the museum to shape and inform what happens inside the museum. Thank you. I taped the blade of grass to a small card with 4 lines of a beautiful poem by Brian Patton called I Offer You a Blade of Grass. Inside each tiny card was a question, something along the lines of what might this blade of grass mean to you, very open-ended, how might a blade of grass encourage connectivity with the natural world. So provocations and questions to help us understand how people might connect with the themes we were going to explore together. Most projects that I lead begin with a provocation, a shared moment with something intriguing or surprising and someone I've never met. I go out to where people are. It's important to me that people outside of the museum shape what happens inside the museum. It struck me that I don't remember any of the forms or questionnaires I've filled in over the years, and I have filled in many. I would remember, however, someone rocking up to where I am with a beautiful portrait crafted by someone in prison from a bar of soap. So I try and find the things that will start a dialogue and enable voices to be heard, stories to surface, hearts and minds to be changed. Things that might be unexpected, things that might resonate and stay with people. There's something really natural and free about starting a conversation in this way. Feels less like targeting people. All of the other more structured methods of engagement follow, so workshops, ideation sessions, empathy mapping, takeover days, and project spaces. These are all essential and they build on those early encounters. But for me, the richest, most rewarding contributions happen where people are doing what they do in their daily lives. So I have a few examples for you. The World Collection Gallery at Derby Museums, where I worked, began with object walks. So we took historic objects out to meet contemporary counterparts, shoes to shoe shops, combs to barber shops. And further into the project, I took objects from the collection into people's homes to be photographed in a relevant, equivalent context outside of the gallery. And this helped us to better understand how unfamiliar objects were perceived in familiar places. The photographs were displayed in the developing gallery to open the discussion about othering and disconnection when engaging with historic objects. Finding Lines was a mark-making exhibition, and that began with a photographic call-out. I was walking and wondering and challenging myself really how we might start the exhibition with hundreds of creative acts by strangers. And I happened to look back to find that I'd drawn lines in the dewy grass with my feet. So I took a photograph and I shared that as a call to send the lines that you find around you into the museum. And we got 760, if I remember rightly, photographs, and people categorised these, and this shaped the way the exhibition evolved. So I moved to the National Justice Museum about 20 months ago, and my challenge there was to ensure that the voices of people living in prison and affected by the criminal justice system are also included in the programme. And early conversations for the first co-produced exhibition I led, Washing, Dancing, Singing, became a call to action. So when we shared the archive photographs of women living in prison, people on the street were really fascinated by the skillful activities that they were engaged in. So we asked people to check their privilege and share their own skills to help enhance someone else's life when they left the gallery. And this in turn grew into an activist project strand where women stitched statistics about life in prison for women today. And these pieces of works were presented in the exhibition, but they've enabled us, now the exhibition's finished, to go out with them, to continue that dialogue, to amplify and support campaigns for improvements for women in the criminal justice system. The current exhibition, Constraint Restraint, again started on the street, and it grew from responses to the question, which of the objects in the collection set your heart racing? So these are small exploratory examples, really. They're open thoughts, they're the what ifs and the how might we's. They don't need to cost anything. If the questions don't appeal to people when you first share them, it can be easily recrafted. There's no money left, maybe a tiny bit of time, but there's always some learning. I tend to recraft and redefine words and try again in a different way, finding the little ways to connect, to spot opportunities, always to step outside and just try it. It's not a risk. It's a risk to not involve people. Don't assume that people will visit your venue after the engagement. Often they do, which is brilliant. But what matters at this point is involving, connecting, hearing in order to better understand and represent people. Talk with people who aren't represented in your workplace as a priority. This is absolutely vital. Share power, enable agency, be kind, genuine in your desire to hear what people have to say. People notice. Be open, empathetic, be excited. Understand the discomfort as well as the comfort that people experience when they visit and when they encounter you in their environment. And turn your default thought process on its head. Begin with a tangle of lived experience, fragments and responses instead of a spreadsheet. Show gratitude and let people know that each contribution matters because it does. Take the time to listen, hear, help people feel that they're part of something relevant. My provocation to you is to shake up the project that you're already involved in, or to start your next one out on the street with people that you've never met before. Find the small thing, find something that's seemingly insignificant that will get under people's skin and keep them awake at night and reverberate around their brains. Talk to the people that will never ever visit your project or your venue because their opinions are absolutely vital. Thank you.